There are not many annoying things in the GTA franchise. The plot, gameplay, side activities, and other elements. Everything is top-notch. Nevertheless, do happen, and the easiest way to find them is where we will be looking today. That is in missions. Well, some quests in GTA make as much sense as learning the types of rocks in geography at school. For real. Taking this metaphor further, the result is that instead of knowing where Spain is, we know in which water body the Xander lives. It seems cool, but I think it's better to know where Spain is based on general knowledge, at least in my opinion. P.S. We will only look at the missions from the GTA parts belonging to the 3D universe and skip GTA Advance, because it is difficult to choose the worst mission. There are just too many candidates there. Alright, GTA 3 goes first. The stupidest mission in this part of GTA is the one called Bait that we are doing for Asuka. A friendly reminder, Asuka receives information that Catalina has prepared the so-called Death Squads. They are stationed in Shoreside Vale, and their task is to hunt down the main character of the game. The mission itself consists of going to several locations and then luring each car to Pike Creek. The Japanese, armed to the teeth, will be waiting to ambush the Colombians and give them a hard time. In theory, but more on that in a moment. Anyway, everything seems cool from the outside, but in reality, nothing makes sense. How on earth did Catalina think that it would be a great idea to send these units to be stationed on Shoreside Vale, since Claude only went there on D-Ice's missions? That is, almost never? Actually, he either did or didn't, because these are side missions, and they can be completed after the story. It would be more logical to send the Colombians to Staunton Island, because that was where Claude spent most of his time. Portland was also out because everyone there wanted to kill Claude. The next question is, why would Claude bring these Colombians to the Yakuza? For the record, Claude single-handedly murdered the Don of the Leone Mafia, the federal witness, Leon McAfee, and the Yakuza boss himself, Kenji. Claude also killed a whole bunch of stoned Catalina bombers. Why couldn't he handle a few Colombians here? Nobody knows the answer to this. Asuka didn't have much to gain from it either. Her gang, the Yakuza, was already at war with the cartel anyway. The action itself wasn't impressive at all, and wasn't intended to impress anyone. Just a few of Catalina's friends died, and that's it. In short, nothing adds up here. But okay, you could forgive this. It happens. A pointless mission. Not the first and not the last one. But on top of that, there's the totally screwed AI system of our opponents. In fact, it's the same crap as in the escort service mission, where we usually have to wait about 17 hours before the van we are escorting gets into the garage while also damaging itself from hitting the wall nearby. Seriously, the Colombians' AI in the Bait mission fails at the simplest of obstacles. From time to time, it also happens that these idiots drive into the water, which of course fails the mission because they died not at the hands of the Yakuza. No comment. And the best for last, sometimes it happens that when we lead the Colombians to the Yakuza, they can defeat the Japanese. So it's a good idea to stop at the place of this great ambush and help the Yakuza a little, just in case. Now let's move on to GTA Vice City. There were some decent candidates here, but in the end, the Trojan Voodoo mission won. We perform it for Umberto Robina, a man with big cojones and no brain. But Umberto is funny, so we won't pick on him. Back to the merits, one day, Umberto comes up with an idea to play some Lego Ninjago in real life. The plan is to hijack the Haitian car, 3 cars to be more precise. This will enable the implementation of the Trojan Horse style plan, as the name of the mission itself alludes to. Umberto's friends and Tommy are to enter the Haitian drug factory. The cover is supposed to work in such a way that thanks to the stolen cars, the gentlemen will get inside without a fight. Then they will shoot a little, plant explosives, and escape unscathed. The best thing is that it's really meant to be this way, and it works in the end. Tommy and the Cubans enter the factory. Nobody suspects anything, of course, because everything looks 100% legit, no scam. The good thing is that both gangs, the Cubans and the Haitians, were enemies, so Haitians should be as sensitive to them as a bull is to a red rag. Meanwhile, the Haitians, seeing those entering their base, do not suspect anything. Why? Well, because they have their cars. Frickin' Tommy Vercetti is wearing that Hawaiian shirt like he always does. Rico and the rest of the Cubans in their normal Cuban outfits. Not to mention the different skin colors, lack of disguise, lack of tinted windows, and generally all the other elements of this great cover. The action looked as if the players on the pitch were passing the ball to those wearing the same shoes, disregarding the uniform and everything else. What a wonderful mission, man. Let's keep going and talk about GTA San Andreas, particularly the Outrider mission performed for the Loco Syndicate. A lot is going on here right from the very beginning. What stands out is the poor acting of Jizzy, who talks to CJ as if someone was telling him what to say. In every sentence, there is a strange, suspicious pause on Jizzy's side.
Jizzy, what's going on?
Well, my business associates, they need a little assistance. And I thought of you, friend.
Overall, everyone can see that something is wrong, except CJ, of course. Normally, he doesn't suspect anything. Even though CJ is playing both sides and knows that there is a risk that he could be seen by the Loco Syndicate at any time, he goes to the meeting without any support. But let's leave that at the moment. CJ's stupidity has no consequences after all, so let's just ignore it. As for the mission itself, well, it's ridiculous as hell. The Syndicate needs the merchandise to be delivered to the factory. CJ's task is to protect the van and ensure that it reaches its destination safely. It's not easy, because CJ constantly has to eliminate roadblocks placed on the streets of San Fierro by heavily armed members of the Vietnamese Da Nang boys. And here the question arises, why? After all, the van starts from a place a few blocks away from the factory itself. Now you can see what it looks like on the screen, although I assume that most of you already know what it looks like. Meanwhile, the van driver, for some unknown reason, is driving completely the wrong way, let alone picking up the route that's not even the fastest, probably intentionally getting into the middle of all this mess where the Vietnamese had set up their roadblocks. If Rockstar wanted the player to have fun so much, they could have set the van's starting point somewhere else, which would have made a little more sense. Okay, it's time to take a look at GTA Liberty City Stories, which is also interesting in this aspect. The difference is that here, the potential of a certain thread was too great, so I decided not to choose one specific task, but the entire set of missions. As some of you probably guessed, this is about quests performed for Tony's mother. The entire narrative of this thread is that Tony's mother thinks her son is a wimp and a complete failure. Of course, this makes no sense. Tony is a ruthless gangster who has great achievements in one of the strongest organizations in the city. Either way, while performing tasks for his mother, Tony tries at all costs to prove to his beloved mother that she is wrong about him. And this is where the fun begins. Well, the actions Tony commits to please her mother are simply absurd. Tony commits at least several murders of people who maybe were not saints, but did not necessarily deserve death. Tony eliminates the pervert Giovanni Casa, a local racing champion, and kills several members of the Triad. To make a long story short, Tony puts himself at risk of serving time by murdering some randoms he doesn't give a damn about, and partly endangering the interests of the Mafia to which he belongs by attacking the Triads. It is worth emphasizing that the Lyonnais Mafia is not in the best shape at this time, and problems appear in its functioning like STD after dinner with Candy Sucks. Basically, doing all this to meet your mother's sick demands is just idiotic. But the best thing is that in the end, Tony's mother still thinks Tony is an imbecile and sends hitmen to kill him. This whole thread is funny, and it's good that it appeared in the game. However, Rockstar really went with fantasy, and there's not much adding together in this thread. There is also a certain mission from GTA Vice City Stories that doesn't make sense, namely the mugshot long shot. In brief, the Vance brothers stole a lot of cocaine from a corrupt sergeant named Jerry Martinez. However, the brothers' mother stole all the drugs a bit later because she liked to hit the slopes. By the way, it turned out that Martinez was only an intermediary in all this, and the drugs actually belonged to the powerful Mendez cartel. The Mendez brothers, of course, demanded the return of the merchandise or a generous payment from the Vance brothers. The gentleman had neither, so Lance came up with a great idea. He told them that Martinez had stolen the cocaine, without any evidence, but that doesn't need to be mentioned. Well, since Sergeant Martinez had at that time started cooperating with the FBI, which put him in the witness protection program, Lance found an opportunity to do all this so that the Mendez brothers would believe this story. Well, Lance planned to get hold of the photos of Martinez talking to the feds and also get his fake ID, something similar to the one the Vance brothers obtained after killing Forbes earlier in the storyline. Forbes was an undercover cop, and at one stage tried to rob Vic and Lance. And all this is to convince the Mendez brothers that Martinez is an undercover cop. A plan that could have fallen apart at 100 different points was implemented, and this is where everything goes mental. Victor drives to the Washington Beach police station. Of course, he finds Martinez talking to some federal there by a miracle or amazing intuition. What's more, Vic gets out of the car, walks about 10 meters from the vehicle where Martinez is sitting, and takes photos of him like he has a bloody cloak of invisibility straight from Harry Potter. Here, once again, Vic's fortune is on his side, as it turns out that both Martinez and the federals suffer from temporary loss of vision and do not notice the guy with the camera standing right in front of them. After getting everything that's necessary, the Vance brothers take care of the document in the printing house and give all this crap to the Mendez brothers. I also wonder what photo the brothers put on Martinez's document. After all, the photos Vic took were not the best quality, and they were shot from a distance. So well, I don't even know how to comment on this situation. And here, yet again, everything would still be quite acceptable if it weren't for the fact that the Mendez brothers, the heads of a serious criminal organization, initially didn't get it and bought this. Generally, as you can see, Rockstar does a great job of satire in the GTA series, even in situations where, in theory, it shouldn't exist at all. In the meantime, check out the video in which I talked about things that suck in the GTA series. It would be nice if you could rate this video and watch the next one, which will be coming soon. Take care and see you soon.